Hi everyone, welcome to Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. For today's practice of hip openers, grab a couple of yoga blocks, a strap, and you might find a blanket useful too, especially as we start in Sukhasana, which translates as easy pose. So find a way to sit somewhat cross-legged in which you can already begin to externally rotate or turn out your thighs at the hips, which is going to be a recurring practice physically. But bring your knees, if you can, about hips width apart. So cross at the middle of the shins, if that's available to you. And again, you might find it helpful to elevate your pelvis so that your knees can drop open more easily. And maybe even narrower, bringing the knees closer than hips width. See what's available without strain. So interesting. We were talking before I turned on this recording with our yoga community here about the concept of a parigraha, which is one of the practices of the first limb of yoga. And a parigraha translates as non-attachment, non-clinging. So here is an excerpt from Eckhart Tolle's renowned book, The Power of Now. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is in the now. So to surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. It is to relinquish inner resistance to what is. Inner resistance is to say no to what is through mental judgment and emotional negativity. It becomes particularly pronounced when things go wrong, which means that there is a gap between the demands or rigid expectations of your mind and what is. That is the pain gap, as he calls it. If you have lived long enough, you will know that things go wrong quite often. It is precisely at those times that surrender, also known as a parigraha, right, non-clinging, needs to be practiced if you want to eliminate pain and sorrow from your life. Acceptance, santosha, part of the practice of the second limb of yoga, or contentment, acceptance of what is immediately frees you from mind identification and thus reconnects you with being. Resistance is the mind. And we've been talking so much about the kleshas and how one of them is asmita, which is being over-dominated by the ego, the mind's wants and dislikes and the push and pull of running after things or resisting. So how do we settle down into that neutral witness position and observe the ongoings of the mind, the coming and going, the weather that passes? And remember that we can hold space for it all. We're the sky, that unchanging. So let's sit in a way that you can feel a sense of dignity, right? As Jack Kornfield says, mindfulness teacher, so sit tall through the spine, root down to your two sitting bones. Rest your hands wherever it helps you to bring more attention to your physical body. And as your body is still, observe what you're experiencing through sensations. Notice the sensations of the breath as it naturally comes and goes. And observe how you feel energetically right now. How you feel mentally and emotionally. And having assessed what is present for you right now, clarify what you choose to put your energy into and thus expand by setting your intention. What is it that you would like to focus on cultivating or practicing or strengthening? How might you bring the practice of a parigraha, that sense of non-attachment, that flexibility of mind, just like we practice flexibility of body? And then another way of setting the ego self aside And thinking of a bigger picture is to choose someone or community or cause that's important to you to dedicate this practice to. So maybe offer your practice today. And let's prepare to chant 3 ohms. Exhale any stagnant air out through the mouth. Inhale deeply. Oh. Begin to use a breathing technique that will help bring attention to the present moment continuously. Ujjayi pranayama, or victorious breathing. So closing your lips, slow down your breath, and sustain it equally in and out through the nose, creating a gentle whispering sound by softly narrowing or constricting the back of your throat. Let's sit here and listen to the breath a few rounds like that. Though you're expanding to whatever means full capacity, invite a sense of ease rather than forcefulness to the breath. Notice how forcefulness, overexerting, can be the opposite of non-attachment, the opposite of a parigraha. Invite a sense of flow, freedom, and calm to the breath. And now let's invite the body to follow suit. Please come to stand at the top of your mat. You may want to have 2 blocks at the very top in front of the mat if you want to press into the blocks when we come into our sun salutations. Separate your feet hips distance or wider apart and parallel to each other. Reach your hands behind your lower back to either interlace your fingers or grab a strap to hold between the hands. And let's open up the fronts of the shoulders as we bow, lengthening the spine and back body. So inhale, roll the shoulders down, lift your chest, look up. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips and bend your knees as much as it allows a feeling of really letting go of tension along the neck, along the back, and along the backs of your legs. As you listen to your breath, continue to stretch the arms forward, further away from the lower back. Bend your elbows slightly to lift the shoulders up and drop the head freely. And then you might switch the cross of the thumb and index finger on top and notice if that might feel different in the shoulders. Let's take a couple more deep breaths here in Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Then drop your arms, bend the knees a lot more so you can just let the head, torso, arms hang freely. But as you press down through toes spread, tilt your weight forward and breathe in to slowly roll your spine upright, like you're stacking 1 vertebra at a time. Lift your head last and roll the shoulders behind you. Softening them down, join your hands together at your heart. What's one thing you can genuinely appreciate as you're standing here now? Let the energy of gratitude empower your intention. What was your intention for your practice? And now let's bring that into a breath-led movement through our first sun salutation series. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and roll your shoulders behind the ears and down, coiling your chest up into a gentle back bend. As you exhale, bow forward, then place your fingertips on the floor and inhale, step the left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge. Look up. Holding your breath, step into your version of plank pose. Then exhale, lower your knees, your chest, then your chin, sticking the tailbone up, hug your elbows towards your ribs. Inhale, slide all the way to the ground, press the tops of the feet down and coil your chest up to cobra pose. Exhale, tuck your toes, lifting your hips back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward beside your left thumb, lower your back knee and look up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise to stand in a gentle back bend, hugging your front ribs in towards your back. Exhale, join your hands at your hearts. One more, second side. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, drop the shoulders and look up. Exhale, forward fold. Lower your fingertips. Inhale, step the right knee back and look up. Holding your breath, step into your version of plank pose. Then exhale, lower your knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, slide to the ground. In cobra pose, coil your chest up. Exhale, lift your hips to downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your back knee and look up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise into a gentle standing back bend. Exhale, join your hands at your heart, and let's move to the second series, Surya Namaskar. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, roll the shoulders down, again into a back bend and Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. This time, press into your blocks or the ground in front of your feet. And inhale, lengthen your spine forward into Ardha Uttanasana. Step back into plank pose. Let's pause and plank for this first round. For a few breaths, stacking the shoulders over your wrists. Either firm your inner heels back and keep the legs straight, or lower your knees to the ground right under your hips. Either way, activate your belly, lifting the sides of your waist. Lengthen your neck, gaze at the ground ahead of your thumbs. Deep breath in. As you exhale, slowly glide forward as far as you can before you bend your elbows back to hug your side ribs. Lower halfway to Chaturanga Dandasana, then lower all the way for Cobra or flip the toes there. And inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale, lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Let's take about 5 breaths here. Feel free to move your body any way you might need to loosen it. Pedaling the feet in place can help to stretch the backs of your legs. Shaking and nodding your head can help to loosen your neck. Keep the breath steady. As you press down firmly through the base of your thumbs and index fingers. Rotate your triceps towards the ground, broadening your shoulder blades apart, then lift the shoulders up away from the neck. Soften the back of your neck and steady your eyes on one spot. Finish a whole cycle of breath here in stillness. After the exhale, walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat into a forward fold. Uttanasana. Press into the blocks of the floor. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold again. Press through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise into Urdhva Hastasana with a back bend. Exhale, join your hands in mountain pose in Padasana. Let's continue this sequence 2 more rounds continuously. Inhale, sweep your arms up, coil your chest up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, press with your hands and lengthen forward. Step back into plank. Continue as you exhale, gliding forward, hugging your elbows to your ribs as you lower. Then choose either Cobra or upward facing dog as you breathe in. Firm down through the tops of your feet. Exhale, lift to your navel. Draw your hips back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pausing in downward dog for 3 deep breaths. Steady your gaze, your drishti. When you hear the end of the 3rd, exhale, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. There, inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Rooting down, inhale, rise up. Standing back bend. Exhale, Padasana, hands at the heart. Once more, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank and glide to lower or float into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Be still there for 3 deep breaths. So as we're warming up the body, we're peeling the layers of tension, contraction, gripping, finding some looseness to allow for practice of non-attachment. When you finish the 3rd exhale, walk or float to the top. Then inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana. Now let's bring the inner edges of your big toes together and prepare for a last sun salutation series. It starts in chair pose. We'll break it down slightly and then we'll flow through it on the 2nd round. So as you take a deep breath in, bend your knees together to touch. Sink your weight towards your heels. Keep your hips low as you raise your arms towards overhead. Then allow a few breaths. Glide your shin bones back enough where if you look down, you could see your toes from where you are. Then gazing forward, relax the shoulders, hug the bottom of your front ribs inward, and sink the tailbone down. Soften your eyes. Finish one more inhale. Utkatasana. Exhale, lean forward and fold. Uttanasana. Press down with your hands. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float to Chaturanga Dandasana and take it through your vinyasa, which includes cobra or upward facing dog. Returning to downward facing dog. Here, keep your 2 hips leveled as you inhale to raise your right leg behind you. Then exhale, lift the belly high as though you're rounding your back in cat pose. To softly land the foot beside your right thumb, keeping your feet hips distance apart as you drop the back heel down. Keep your hips facing forward and press through your feet as you inhale to rise. Standing in Warrior One. Bend your right knee just over the heel and scissor your right outer hip back while straightening your left leg. Pressing your outer left heel deeply into the earth and turning your left outer hip forward. As you relax the shoulders down, keep your arms straight, whether your palms are together or apart, steadying your gaze. Virabhadrasana 1. One more deep breath in. Ride the exhale all the way down from plank through Chaturanga Dandasana and finish your vinyasa. Slow, steady breaths. From downward facing dog again, keep your hips leveled in height as you inhale to raise your left leg behind you. Round and lift the belly high so that you can lightly step the foot beside the left thumb. Keep the feet in their separate lanes and spin the right heel down. Keep your hips facing forward and inhale to rise. 2nd side of Warrior One. So right away, land your eyes with intention on one focal point. Continue to regulate the sound of your breathing. Hands together or apart. Bend the left knee just over the heel, scissoring the left hip back. Straighten the right leg entirely and press the outer right heel deeply into the earth as you turn the right outer hip forward. Lift your frontal hip bones with a slight activation of your lower abdomen. Finishing one more breath in, then exhale, lower all the way down into your vinyasa. And when you arrive at downward facing dog, be still, steady your gaze, and rebalance your breathing. 3 cycles of breath. Bring to mind your intention again. When you finish the 3rd exhale, then walk or lightly jump your feet together to touch at the top of your mat. There, inhale, press with your fingertips, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. With knees touching, inhale, sit low, lean back towards your heels in Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, rise up into Padasana. Now let's flow through the sequence. Once, inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float to Chaturanga Dandasana, finishing your vinyasa. At Adho Mukha Svanasana. There, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, lightly step the foot beside right thumb, spin the back heel down. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Again, at Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, step it beside the left thumb, drop the back heel. Inhale, rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Arriving at Adho Mukha Svanasana, pause for 3 rebalancing breaths. Observing what's coming and going. Sensations in the body, feelings, breath. Holding space for it all. When you finish the 3rd exhale, walk or lightly jump your feet together to touch at the top of your mat. Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. With knees touching, inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, Padasana, rising up. All right, hopefully we're a little warmer. Let's step the feet apart, hips distance or wider. And this time bring your hands to your hips and rolling the shoulders back. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lean towards the front of your heels as you bow with a long spine. Feel free to bend the knees if that helps to lengthen the spine. Take your right arm and cross the right forearm behind your right calf, catching hold of the front of your left shin. Take your left arm and cross the forearm behind your left calf and take hold of the right shin, crisscrossing the forearms. Lean forward, inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, drop your head. Maybe even softly shake it out. Few breaths. Relax the face. Maybe switch the other forearm on top. Listen to that soft whisper in your Ujjayi breathing. Keep it going. And then decide how you want to get back to downward facing dog, whether you add another vinyasa or take a few cat-cows or step directly back. We'll meet in downward facing dog. At downward facing dog, roll your triceps towards the earth. Soften the back of your neck.
Empty this breath. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. And as you exhale, bend your right knee and turn open your right thigh at the hip. So externally rotate the thigh bone. Stay there as you inhale, tack your left outer hip further back. Then slowly exhale, hug the right knee high outside the right upper arm, stacking the shoulders over your wrists in plank. Step the foot beside your right thumb in a high lunge. Press to your feet, inhale, rise to crescent lunge. Spin your left heel down and align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Open the arms wide into Virabhadrasana 2. Now let's stay a little longer. Bending your right knee just over the heel, maybe towards 90 degrees. Firm the outside edge of your left foot deeply into the earth. Rotate your right outer hip under your body to point the right knee towards your pinky toe. And firm the top of your left thigh bone back towards you. One more deep breath here. Straighten your right leg for extended triangle. Glide your hips towards the back wall. Reach your right hand horizontally towards the front wall as far as you can before placing the right hand on the right side of your right shin, directly beneath your shoulders stacked. Rotate your left outer upper arm or tricep to face the left wall. Then sweep that arm overhead towards the front wall, sending both shoulder blades down your back. Press the crease of your right hip back towards your left outer foot, lengthening the right side of your torso, while lengthening the crown of your head towards the front wall. Spiral your chest slightly towards the sky and steady your gaze on one spot, maybe up past the left elbow. A few more breaths in Utthita Trikonasana, extended triangle pose. Now let's take this blueprint posture into flight for half moon pose. Look at the ground ahead of your right foot and bend your right knee. Walk your right hand 6 inches forward and to the right corner of your right pinky toe. Drag your left foot forward and flex it off the ground, turning your chest towards the left wall. Just like in triangle, press the right hip crease back towards your left outer foot and lengthen the crown of your head forward towards the front wall. Spin your chest slightly towards the sky. Feel into the breath here. Ardha Chandrasana. Bending your right knee, softly step your left foot back to Warrior 2. Then flip your right palm to face up and side bend towards your rear wall, inhaling into Peaceful Warrior and exhaling into Plank. Optional to flow through a vinyasa. We'll meet in Downward Facing Dog. Notice how your body feels right now. What kind of feedback is it giving you of your energetic approach to these postures and movements? How are you integrating the practice of aparigraha? Non-clinging, non-gripping. And notice how that affects you. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, bend the knee and externally rotate the thigh bone at the hip. Staying there, inhale, tack your right outer hip back. Exhale, slowly lift the left knee high to touch the outside of your left upper arm as you stack the shoulders over your wrists.
Stepping the left foot beside your left thumb. Stay on the ball of the right foot and inhale, rise up into crescent lunge. Spin your right heel down. Align your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot. Open your arms apart into Warrior Two. Steadying your gaze past your left hand. Bend your left knee directly above your left heel, maybe towards a 90-degree bend. And press your outer right foot deeply into the ground. Rotate your left outer hip under your body, directing the left knee towards the pinky toe. And firm the top of your right thigh bone back. Let's listen to a few more breaths in Virabhadrasana 2. Extended triangle, straighten your left leg and glide your hips sideways towards your back wall, reaching your left hand horizontally forward towards the front wall. Place it on the left side of your left shin, right up against your leg. Rotate your right outer upper arm to face the right wall. Sweep that arm overhead and tack your left hip crease back towards your outer right foot. Rotate your chest slightly to face the sky and send the shoulder blades down your back. Hug your front ribs in towards your back. Steady your gaze. A few more breaths in Utthita Trikonasana. Can you feel strong lines of energy extending in all directions through your limbs and both ends of your spine? The energy flowing through these lines, and let's make our way into half moon pose. Steady your gaze on the ground in front of your left foot. Keep the breath flowing as you bend the left knee and walk the left fingertips about 6 inches forward into the left outer corner of the foot. Drag your right foot in, lifting it off the ground flexed. Turn your chest to face the right wall and stack your two shoulders over your left wrist. Ardha Chandrasana. Find one point to steady your eyes on, and let's practice focusing our bodies and minds here with the breath. Full breath in. Bend the left knee. Exhale, softly step right foot to the rear of your mat, re-entering Warrior Two. Flip your left palm to face up. Inhale, Peaceful Warrior towards the back wall. Exhale, plank pose, optional to flow or take rest. Let's meet in Downward Facing Dog. Few breaths there. Have you noticed what's coming up for you or what might be shifting energetically? Let's tune in for a few breaths. Feel your fingers spread and imagine you have a little suction cup underneath each far end fingertip. A little gripping on the mat. Rotate the triceps down and plug the shoulder bones in their sockets. Soften the back of the neck and spread the shoulder blades apart. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Keep your shoulders balanced in height. Exhale, cross the knee to touch the left elbow or tricep. Stay in the twist, extend the right leg straight to the left. Flexing the foot, lean the outer foot on the floor. Spin the left heel down. Stay here or enter Fallen Triangle, pushing the ground away with right wrist under right shoulder. Stretch the left arm up. Optional here to plug the right thigh bone back into the hip socket and hover the right foot off the ground. Maybe raise the left arm overhead. Keep lifting the right hip. A few more breaths.
Keep drawing the shoulder blades down your back. Three-legged downward facing dog. Breathe in, sweep the right leg back. Breathe out, round like a cat pose and step the foot beside your right thumb. Spin the back heel down to warrior one. Inhale to rise up. Then line your right heel to the arch of your left foot again, like you would in warrior two, turning your chest to face the left side. But this time grab a strap because we're gonna come into a bound version of side angle pose. You might start with a strap and find that you don't need it, but at least you can start with the option. So rotate right outer hip under, bend the front knee over the heel, press the top of the left thigh bone back. Take hold of the strap in your left hand and dangle the long tail around your back so it hangs to the outside of your right thigh. Glide your hips sideways towards the back wall, keeping the front knee bent over the heel, and bring your right arm on the inner side of your right thigh, finding hold of the other end of the strap. Press your right arm against your right leg, keeping your right leg solidly still as you walk the hands as close together as you can. Rotating the right glute under, turn your chest slightly towards the sky and hug your belly and front ribs in towards you. You don't want to feel like you're bowing towards the left wall. You want to feel a tinge of leaning back towards the right wall. Now, if the hands can meet to clasp, or if the right hand can hold the left wrist, then you can drop the strap. Let's stay a few breaths, steadying your gaze maybe up towards the sky. Baddha Parsvakonasana, bound side angle pose. Now you could choose to stay here, or rise up to warrior two, or keep the bind and make your way to bird of paradise, which we practiced, I believe, last week. If you're going to bird of paradise, look at your right foot, step your left foot beside it at the top of your mat. Lift the right heel, push off the left foot, and flex your right foot as you rise to stand in your left leg. If your spine is completely upright, consider straightening your right leg. Whatever posture you're in, let's commit to another 3 deep breaths, steadying your gaze. If you're in bird of paradise, see if you can keep the bind and rebend the right knee, set the right foot to the front and center of your mat, and with the bind, slowly step the left foot back into bound side angle pose. Let's all meet in warrior two. From warrior two, flip your right palm to face up. Inhale, peaceful warrior. This time, lower both hands onto the floor. Step into plank pose with legs straight and feet together touching. Stack your shoulders right over your wrists. Find the little grips under your fingertips. Side plank. Look at your right wall. Roll onto the outside edge of your left foot. Flex both feet stacked, or step the right foot flat on the ground in front of the left foot. Press the ground away and raise your right arm up. Vashisthasana. Remember to use counter forces. The more you press the ground away, the more you can lift up through that left hip. Turn the right hip forward to stack just above it. Like triangle and half moon, send the shoulder blades down your back. Keep lengthening your spine. Maybe sweep the right arm overhead, lifting the left hip a little higher. One more deep breath. Exhale your hands to plank. Continue down to a vinyasa, or take a moment in child's pose, or meet a straightened downward facing dog. Notice the quality of the breath here. And what kind of information is it giving you of how you're approaching your physical practice? Is there space for flexibility of outcome? From downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, cross the knee to your right tricep, stacking the shoulders over your wrists. Stay in the twist and straighten the left leg towards the right wall. Flex the foot and lean the outer edge on the ground. Spin the right heel down and stacking the left shoulder over the left wrist, raise the right arm up to fall in triangle. With the option to plug the left thigh bone in and hover the left foot off the floor and maybe sweep the right arm overhead. Focus on the quality of the breath and how it's balancing some ease into what can be pretty heated. Three-legged downward dog. Lower the right hand and sweep the left leg back, breathe in. Exhale, lift the belly high like cat pose and step the foot beside your left thumb for warrior one. Spin the right heel down and rise up to stand. Then align your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot, turning your chest to the right as you would for warrior two. Let's prepare for bound side angle. Grab your strap, hold it in your right hand. Swing the long tail around your back so it's hanging to the left side of your left thigh. As you bend the left knee just over the heel, rotate the outer hip under and firm the top of the right thigh bone back. Then sweep your pelvis sideways towards your back wall. Reach the left hand onto the right side of your front thigh, finding hold of the other end of the strap. Keep your left leg in that warrior two position still as you press the left arm against it and walk the hands closer together, rotating your chest towards the sky. Invite a feeling of leaning back rather than bowing forward. You might clasp the hands or hold the right wrist and release the strap. Find what offers you practice of satya, remember that, truthfulness, self-honesty, as well as ahimsa, remember that, loving kindness to self, and a parigraha, letting go of fixed outcome in mind. So you could stay in bound side angle, you could rise up to warrior two, or keep the bind and prepare for bird of paradise by gazing at your left foot, then stepping your right foot to the top of your mat beside it, then lifting the left heel, pressing down to the right foot, flexing the left foot as you rise to stand on your right leg. Then once you're standing, if the spine is upright, consider straightening the left leg. Again, whatever posture you're in now, commit to holding a posture of dignity. Feel the balance in your breathing. Observe the mind and the games it plays at times, even the ego. Notice if it creeps up here. Hold space for all of it. If you're in bird of paradise, begin to bend your left knee. Then bend the right knee and set the left foot beside the right, keeping the bind if that's available. Then step the right foot all the way back to bowed side angle. Let's meet in warrior two. Warrior two, flip the left palm to face up. Inhale, side bend towards your back wall, peaceful warrior. Exhale, let's meet in plank pose with legs straight and feet together touching. Stack the shoulders over your wrists. Find the slight grip at the end of the fingertips. Roll to the outside edge of your right foot flexed and either stack both feet flexed or step the left foot on the ground in front of the right foot. Raise your left arm up and like triangle and half moon, stack your shoulders and wrists. Lift the right hip high, stack the left hip above it. Check in with the breathing. A few more in Vashisthasana, maybe raise the left arm overhead. Come back to plank, optional vinyasa, rest, or go directly to downward facing dog. Deep breaths there. Gaze at the top of your mat and either walk or float your feet to the outsides of your hands, arriving in a squat. Whether you're sitting on blocks or hovering the pelvis off the ground, find the external rotation of both of your thigh bones at the hips. Align the middle of your kneecaps with the middle toes. And then join your hands at your heart and find a tall spine, shoulders back and down. Breathe. Option to stay here while or move into crow or crane pose. One last arm balance in which you place the hands a foot in front of your feet. Bring the inner edges of your feet together like chair pose. Lift the heels, splay the knees apart, and then hug the knees high towards the outsides of your shoulders, looking ahead of your fingertips on the ground to rock your weight forward, and maybe lift the feet together to touch. Maybe straighten the arms. Whatever you're practicing, when you're ready, let's meet in a standing forward fold. Feet hips distance apart, parallel to each other. And when you arrive at Uttanasana, let's give the outer wrist a stretch by lifting your toes and slipping your palms face up underneath the soles of your feet. Maybe bending the knees so that you're able to bring the toes towards the inner creases of the wrists. Inhale, shift your weight forward, lift your heart and press it through the gates of your arms. Exhale, if possible, bend the elbows apart as you're bowing from your hips, dropping the head freely. Lift the shoulders away from the neck. A few breaths here. You might relax the jaw by fluttering your lips or take a couple of cooling lion's breaths. Wide open mouth, tongue out, exhaling with a sound. Slip your palms out from under and let's come to our knees, preparing for our last active back bends. So come on into Virasana Hero's pose and see if your knees might like the support of a block between the ankles. Or if you're okay sitting directly on your calves, you might go a step further and gently roll the calves aside and sit on the ground right between your ankles. Whatever the variation, make sure your toes are pointing back. Feet are not turned out. Knees are grounded, no wider apart than hips distance. Let's further open our quadriceps and hip flexors to get into our last active back bends. So start to lean back to whatever's available, about 10 to 15 breaths. So go slow, lengthen the tailbone down and forward, hug the front ribs in, maybe come down to your elbows or blocks. Keep stretching the breath through both ends, slowing down the breath to help open the body. To invite a feeling of trust into the body, to loosen any gripping or contraction, sometimes out of fear. So through your breath, ujjayi breathing, create a sense of safety. A sense of inner grounding. So that regardless of the external circumstance, you know your own strength, and that will help to practice a parigraha. Finish at least 3 more full breaths where you are before you begin to move into downward facing dog. Downward facing dog to help open up the backs of the knees. Give a stretch into the lower back again. And come forward into your version of plank and lower all the way down to lie face down on your belly. Rest your forehead on the earth, slide your knees close together, and spread your toes, pressing every toenail firmly into the ground. Bring the hands behind your lower back to clasp or hold a strap between for bound locust pose. Press your pubic bone into the earth, keep your feet parallel to each other. And with your feet firmly into the ground, inhale, coil your chest off the ground and look on the floor ahead, lengthen the back of your neck. Take another 2 breaths or so before you lift the legs. And if you've got lower back issues happening, don't lift the legs. Keep your feet on the floor for lower back support. Stretch your legs actively towards the rear wall. Peel the fronts of the shoulders behind the ears and press the shoulder blades down. And give yourself maybe another 4 or 6 breaths in this posture. Baddha Shalabhasana. Before you lower all the way to the ground and rest for 3 breaths. Soften everything and just be still when you're resting. Commit to resting. Such an important practice too. Now the next back bend here is either bound locust on your own again or bow pose. If you're free of any lower back issues, then maybe come into bow. Either one, slide your knees close together again. For bow, bend your knees, reach back with your hands and catch your outer feet. Good place to start, or inner feet, might take it deeper. Press your pubic bone into the earth as you kick the feet back and pull them towards you, lifting the knees no wider apart than hips distance. Coil your chest up and lengthen the back of your neck. 5 to 7 breaths in total, your count. Dhanurasana. Once you're ready, let everything go. Be still, rest. 3 breaths. Place your hands alongside your floating ribs and gently press up to hands and knees to stand on your knees for a second to last back bend, camel pose. For lower back support, grab a skinny block and firm it between your knees and thighs. And we're only taking this once, so you might have your toes tucked, which creates a more stable position, and heels are higher to reach for if you want to reach for them, or flatten the tops of your feet if you're feeling already pretty back bendy. Backstroke your arms and place your hands on your lower back, fingertips pointing down. Keep your pelvis stacked right above your knees the whole posture. Direct the back bend in the area right under your shoulder blades, not so much the lower back. So let's lengthen the lower back first. Stretch the tailbone down towards the ground between the knees and lift the back ribs up. Then inhale, coil your chest up, hug the elbows closer together. Take your back bend for 5 to 7 breaths. Now you might backstroke one arm and hold the heel behind it and then switch hands, or hold both heels. But notice how your lower back is speaking to you. If it feels like it's okay, then go on. Otherwise, keep your hands on your lower back. Deep breaths. Ustrasana. When you're ready to come out, place your hands on your lower back and gently roll your spine upright. Find a comfortable way to sit, maybe placing the hands to rest on your heart center and closing your eyes. 3 breaths, resting. Our last back bend is going to be on our backs. Take your choice of bridge pose or upward facing bow. With or without a block between your thighs. As you lie on your back, locate your feet with your arms down by your sides. As you bend your knees, slide your heels back until you could almost touch them with your fingertips, but not that close. Parallel your feet apart, hips distance. Ground your feet, and then either lift the pelvis for bridge, walk the upper arms under, maybe clasp the hands, 5 to 7 breaths. Or flip the palms face down alongside your ears for upward bow, in which you want to be mindful not to splay open the elbows. Keep the elbows no wider apart than your shoulders distance. Upward bow, come up to the crown of your head, press through your hands and feet, bridge or upward bow. Stretch the fronts of your thighs forward and isometrically drag the heels back. 5 to 7 breaths in total. So bridge is Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. Upward facing bow is Urdhva Dhanurasana. When you lower to rest for 3 breaths, come into Supta Baddha Konasana. Drop the knees open, lying on your back. Place your left hand on your heart center. Place your right hand on your lower belly. Drop in for 3 breaths. Bring your hands to your outer thighs. Wrap your right leg over the left and slide your pelvis 3 to 4 inches towards the right edge of your mat, preparing for a supine spinal twist. Open your right arm wide out to the right. Ground the right shoulder as you lift your feet and twist to the left side. Maybe looking past your right shoulder. And if you're seeking more release of the lower back, place your left hand on your right outer hip. And especially as you breathe out, press away your right outer hip. So you gently tilt it towards the front edge of your mat. Help your body to cool off by breathing out slower than you breathe in. And maybe exhaling out to your mouth. When you finish this next breath, then roll onto your back, switch left leg over right. Slide your hips closer to the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide on the ground. Keeping the left shoulder down, lift your feet and twist to the right. Maybe looking over your left shoulder. And if you're needing a deeper release in the lower back, place your right hand on your left outer hip. And as you breathe out, gently press away your left outer hip towards the front of the room. Longer exhalations, maybe out through the mouth. One more full breath here. Then roll onto your back into happy baby pose. Ground your shoulders and tailbone. Cross your right leg over the left, and let's come into supine cow face pose. Catch hold of your shins or outer feet, and as you splay the feet apart, ground your tailbone and shoulders, and maybe bring the thighs closer to your belly. While this directs a stretch into the glutes, outer hips, you might also feel some release in the lower back. Supta Gomukhasana, supine cow face pose. Switch the cross of your legs, hold your shins or outer feet, ground your tailbone and shoulders. As you splay your feet apart, hug your thighs closer to your belly. Then uncross your legs, hug everything in towards your heart, your whole body, as though saying thank you for being this temple for your spirit. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, squeeze in with love, hold the breath, sip in a little more if you can. And with a big exhale through the mouth, splay your arms and legs on the ground. Close your eyes, be still. Welcome stillness and complete surrender, which is Shavasana. As you continue to rest a little longer with eyes closed, give your body a mental scan, noticing how it feels now. Begin to move slowly, any part that's ready to move. Gentle, easy movements. Gradually turning over to your right side and resting your head on your arm. Pause there for a few breaths and observe the breath naturally as it is. Now notice your energy body. How do you feel energetically? When you're ready, press your hands into the ground and slowly rise. Find a comfortable seat for meditation. Sit in a way, again, is how you feel when you sit with dignity. Grounding, uplifted, open, calm. Place your hands in a mudra, like thumb and index, fingers together, hand to the heart, hand to the belly, or stack the palms. Close your eyes or steady a soft gaze ahead in one spot. And let's begin. Cultivating open awareness. Remembering that you are the sky. And all the things that your attention is drawn to that comes and goes, like sounds, sensations, thoughts, emotions, feelings, are impermanent. So observe them as that, holding space for it all. Start to come back to your physical body again.
notice how your mind is feeling and how you feel emotionally. Let's bring closure to this practice. Recall your intention that you set. And remember to whom or what you dedicated this practice to. You might picture them receiving benefit from your practice today. And together, let's chant 3 ohms. Inhale deeply. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.